Hello everybody and welcome to the show where after the collision we sift through
the wreckage.
the wreckage.
Are we still on YouTube or did we get kicked off for copyright?
No. We're still on YouTube. Trust me.
Oh,
we won't get kicked off. I guarantee you that, man. Don't you worry. You know what? If I had hindsight and I just thought about it last second, I would have done my own version of it. But that's for next time anyway. But reason for the song, we are celebrating, as a matter of fact, Vet. And not just because it's Father's Day in your neck of the woods. So happy Father's Day from all of us here at HMG and channelattitude.com. But also, it's the 1 year anniversary of Collision, which makes it the 1 year anniversary for the wreckage.
Wow.
Yeah. 1 year already. It is. It's amazing. So we've come out to celebrate. A year of our life's
gone down the drain.
Well, you know what? I can't believe it's been a year. I could have sworn it's been at least 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
and about, what would you say? That would make it like, let's see, 2 hours times 52 times. That's like 104 hours times 2 hours again, because we had to do a 2 hour podcast about it. So 208 hours that we've spent in our lives on Collision. Just Collision.
Collision, right. Collision indeed. And
when you put it that way, it makes you want to end the show forever, right? Like we should just take this off the HMG schedule now. The original host, who I was just having a conversation with, by the way.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep,
wow.
That's right. Christopher Rams. You may recognize him from a recent photo of his swole up ankle.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah, so but yeah, I was checking in with him, seeing how he's doing and everything, and I'm sure he can't wait to get back here and join us. But yeah, he kicked it off, and we've been going strong ever since. Well, strong is a strong word. We've been limping along, much like Christopher Rams, and trying to be entertaining for you. Even AEW takes weeks off or gets preempted, and we are here 52 weeks a year for all of you.
Absolutely, and
I'm
just
proud of
to
that,
mention,
at least.
Oh, absolutely. Look, it wasn't our baby, this show. As a matter of fact, it was Chris's baby. It was his idea. We're came up with this show. But we're raising it right now, right? We're the new foster parents.
He went out for cigarettes. And
just didn't come home.
That's right.
That's so funny. So yeah, that makes us now the de facto foster parents of the wreckage. Does that make us above Christian now, actually, Vet? That's
right. This is our show now.
It's our show.
We are your father, Chris.
Absolutely. I Am Patriot says satanic music. Oh, and before we do continue on, actually,
yeah, can you cut
thank
that
you,
music
Lab
off?
Brat.
I'm sure on the audio only version, like I'm going to be completely drowned out by Madonna here. Like if you listen back, Jimmy will be crystal clear. I will sound like I'm from a submarine, and Madonna's vocals will just be like blasting through here and knocking me off the show as usual.
Oh no, it's not like that. But
Lab Brat,
thank you.
Jimmy. I thought you were a DJ.
Dude, I told you we stream you. Well, you're talking about after the fact, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's something else. Anyway, I will point out thank you to Lab Brat, because I was the only one that was saying about what's it called, Clash at the Castle in Scotland. That Isla Dawn and Alba Fire were going to win and become your new women's tag team champions. And everyone was shitting on me, Vet, on the Smack Attack. Everyone was just poo-pooing me, but I called it. And thank you, Lab Rat, because he says, I can't believe I have to say this, but Jimmy called the tag match. He was right. He should have been wrong, but he was right.
That was, and you saying that was a hot take?
That was a hot take, man. I called it,
really?
Bro. For real, yeah.
So wait a minute. So let me get this straight. Now Now I'm saying, Jimmy, yeah, I don't want to take any credit away from you, but like that seems so obvious, right? Like, doesn't it just seem like it was plainly obvious that's what you do? First of all,
Well,
you had
thank you that you saw that too. Then obviously, because,
okay, so
there you go.
you bring the witches onto TV when they haven't been seen in months. Randomly, when we're going to Scotland, they randomly get a title match, and it's randomly a triple threat, randomly. And oh, just so randomly, you put in the team of Zoe and Shayna, who always get beat, so that you can get the belts off of the unbeatable champions,
Right.
in a triple threat match in Scotland. And nobody saw that coming at all. Like, it wasn't.
Apparently they didn't, bro, except
Wow.
for me and you, it seems. You and I were the only ones. I was getting shat on, dude, for saying this. As a matter of fact, people were saying that you know, Alba Fire and Eyes of Dawn were going to be the ones there in this match because they were going to be the ones to eat the pin.
No. Because you were going to have two other people doing the job. You're going to have Piper Niven doing a job because Bailey wasn't about to lose that to Piper. I mean, I guess you could have. It wouldn't have mattered, but, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people thought that Drew McIntyre was going to go over.
I did. That's the only thing I got wrong, dude. That was it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, unfortunately, he didn't win, which is kind of not surprising, but surprising at the same time. Actually, let's go on to that match.
Let's go to it.
Well, I mean, do you agree with the finish, with the screwy finish with CM Punk and whatnot? I mean,
yes.
You like that? Like in that sense, the exact finish?
Yeah, because that's a real match.
Well, yeah.
Like this match with Damian
Absolutely.
Priest, what the fuck was this? Like nobody wanted to see this. Nobody cared. The only reason that anybody cared was because, you know, you thought, oh, Drew's going to win a championship in his home country. But, you know, like only a Mark would really think that that's important. He actually won the belt at WrestleMania. That's a bigger moment for him. You know, granted, whatever happened after that, well, yeah, but that was to keep business going because whenever he and, you know, hey, Jimmy, let me ask you a question. Of any wrestling match that you could see right now, what's the one match you want to see more than any other match?
It would be Drew versus CM Punk, as a matter of fact.
Why?
Well, there's story, first of all, there's history. You know what I mean? They're actually building to that match. And when I say build, they're building it properly as well.
Key word, they are building to it.
Right.
And how are they building to it? By keeping them apart and having them they're still interacting with each other, but they're not always together. And sometimes they're not in the same building, but they're still keeping it going. And by the time it actually happens, people are really going to want to see what happens.
Yeah, they're making you hang for it at this point, man. I mean, and I'm intrigued by it. I'm actually looking forward to it. The only bad thing, well, actually, you know what? I think Drew will go over in their first matchup. I think there's going to be a series of matches between these two, as a matter of fact.
You have to at this point.
You have to, right? Absolutely.
Unless somebody gets hurt again.
Well, let's hope not. I mean, God. And speaking of, well, that would be pretty fucked up. I don't want to jump the gun. Actually, I better hold it because.
Oh, and just real quick, because Sonic was making a comment, but I was talking about not the empty WrestleMania. I was talking about this year. He won. He actually won the match against Seth Rollins, which Seth Rollins had been a guy who, you know, was like he was like an unbeatable champion. He had this belt and he just refused to do a job for anybody. He's been refusing. No, I'm not saying he personally. I'm just saying like, I'm just joking around. What I'm saying is Seth Rollins hasn't lost a match in a long time. So Drew McIntyre going over on Seth at WrestleMania was a big deal because he actually beat somebody for a belt that just came out of nowhere. And Seth did his best to try to, you know, and the company did their best to try to make this random, you know, mystery belt mean something. And then Drew McIntyre gets his moment. And then, so he gets the moment, but then they get to take away the moment and maybe set up a big moment down the line too to keep things going. So yes, he won the belt, then immediately lost the belt. Damian Priest, up until that point, was just another guy that was showing up with the rest of the Judgment Day lackeys and saying, we need to take care of Judgment Day business every Monday night and never doing anything but getting beat. As a matter of fact, he was
Right.
taking pins. Damian Priest was taking pins all year while Seth Rollins was beating everybody, right? So that match meant more for Drew McIntyre to win that in that moment. And when they pitch that to me, like I win the belt at WrestleMania in front of fans and then it gets taken away from me, personally, like if I were in that spot, I'd be like, oh, I love that. If I didn't think of it myself first, like what if he cashes in on me after CM Punk beats me up? Like that's what I would have wanted to do had I been Drew McIntyre. So that was perfect for him. And then, going and having that match in front of your fans, like, okay, Damian Priest won, but they got a moment too out of that. Like they get to feel like, this was like, oh my God, I can't believe they fucked him over. They're not mad. They know this is a work,
Absolutely, man. And he seems to be loving his work right now in the company. Sure, maybe back in the, I won't mention the C word era, behind closed doors, we shall call it, or whatever you want to call it. He was emotional about winning his WWE championship at that time because he didn't want to win it that way. But he doesn't come across though as a mark for himself though either. You know what I mean? And he understands business. Well, at the end of the day,
he has now for a long time up till now.
Well, yeah, but the point is, like, is he not? I mean, you can make the argument, man. Like he's been the sort of ace up WWE's sleeve, if you know what I mean. I feel like he's quietly carrying the company in some ways, not to a whole, but like he's quietly sort of making huge strides. And when I say quietly, I don't think people realize, the work that he's putting into all of this, you know what I mean? I truly think from a guy that a lot of people used to shit on many years ago to easily, can be the MVP of 2024 for WWE.
Well, I'm one of those people. Like, you sat up here while I buried
Absolutely.
Drew McIntyre on here because,
right. No,
and some of it was his fault and some of it wasn't. Like a lot of it wasn't. And that's part of the problem is now you want this guy to be like, he wants to be given the ball,
right?
Because he looks at it as an honor. Maybe I shouldn't say it's not that he's a mark for himself. He's a mark for the company, though. Like he definitely is that. He loves the WWE, man.
As you would be, man. I mean, if that's
so
your thing,
nothing. Well, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but I think he took it a little bit far in the past.
Right.
And he let him know that, because if I can figure it out, that means they know it, and they know they have him over a barrel, and he'll do whatever they ask him to do. It doesn't matter. Like as a rib, they'll tell you to carry a sword and name it after your dead mother. That's how much they care about Drew McIntyre, and he would go along with it because he's thinking he's doing the right thing by being the company guy. And as long as you let him walk on you, they will. Or that was the old way. Now I get the sense that he wants to do things for the company and the company wants to do things with him. Like it's now the relationship it always should have been, but for everything from the Chosen One to 3-man band to, the TNA excursion to coming back in NXT and like all these things. And then, zero attendance WrestleMania and like all these things that they've done. And
he ate remember,
they took the belt off him really quick. Remember that? Like how quick it took it off him? Didn't they give it to like Randy Orton or somebody that totally didn't need it or whatever? Like it was ridiculous.
I don't think it was Orton, was it? I don't think so.
Well, the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but the point is, after he won that belt and he just immediately lost it, they had no faith in him, whatever. And at that time, I could see it. Like I could see not wanting to go with him because he seemed like, like the what I called like
sort of
the cute Drew McIntyre. Remember when he would try to like be a baby face, but make all these little jokes and stuff, kind of like he's doing now, but like way lamer for some reason. I don't like the jokes weren't landing. Now his stuff is landing a little bit better because he's a heel, I guess. But
yeah, he just seems to be more real though. Also, like he's not really putting
Right.
like he's not putting as much effort. And when I say that, he is putting effort. Don't get me wrong. I mean, as in like
Yeah, he's
it
always
feels
put in
like it's
effort.
really him, right? It feels like this is more true to more reality based, in a way. You know what I mean? Where he's thriving in it though, because
Well,
really with the
furthermore,
shit.
oh,
Sorry,
sorry, go
continue.
ahead.
No,
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 no.
you go
Go
ahead.
please.
All
Oh
right.
well, I was
Well,
gonna say. Ah, it was a delay there for a second. But look, all I was gonna say is basically, like he's see now it's gone out of my head. Damn it,
oh, sorry.
it just flew out of my head. No, no, it's my bad. But anyway, it'll come back to me. So you go for it now, vet.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, you have the fundamental problem also, like underlying all of the stuff we've already talked about. You also have the fundamental problem of this guy is a humongous human being, like size wise, and as
Absolutely.
a baby face, like, how are you supposed to get heat on him? Like, he looks like he should kill everybody, and then you know what I mean. So it's like you kind of have to be a heel, but then like as a heel, it's like, well, how do you beat this guy too? Like he's sort of in a weird no man's land where people want to like him, but like, what are we supposed to really do here, considering the other pieces that we have? It just doesn't look believable for him as a babyface to take heat from anybody except for Brock. And then in the match
Yeah.
that he beat Brock, he went over in like 4 minutes. It's like he just killed Brock Lesnar and then got that belt in front of nobody. And then it was like
See, and they
the
killed him
one
right then and
guy,
there.
the
Yeah.
one guy that can get heat on him, and you squash that guy, and then now what? So it's like he's never really meant to be a babyface. Um, but then to have like a Drew McIntyre run on top, then you would need guys that, I don't know, like kind of like a Ricochet who's could fight him from underneath, right? And
And they
guys,
did have a
like
match, I think, not too
they
long ago,
did,
which was awesome. The way they built that
right?
match, the way the match was built itself,
And
the
that
actual
right,
match.
the match was good, and you could have had that be for like a main event program. The WWE's got so many guys that can be main event guys, and Drew McIntyre definitely seems like a main event guy, and he's definitely changed my mind about him because I used to think that he was kind of hopeless.
I did
But
too, straight
yeah,
up.
but well, for some reason, magically, ever since CM Punk showed back up, things have been a lot more interesting in WWE. I don't know. I'm not going to give him
Yeah,
all the
well,
credit for that, but let's just say he came back at the right time.
he
Um,
sure did.
and he's
Absolutely at
probably
the
helping to
perfect
do
time.
some stuff like he would have on Collision, which we'll talk about later, which we could desperately use the CM Punk touch. Oh, God.
And it felt cringe actually because it was the year anniversary, and you're gonna go through this anniversary without. I mean, the show started with Punk. The show is Punk per se.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it just feels weird at this point. But we'll get into that in a moment. But let's talk about some news actually, Vet. AJ Styles is gonna be back in Japan, just not for New Japan Pro Wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
but for Noah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a huge deal, dude. I mean, this WWE is playing ball, it seems, but I just feel like, I don't want to say they're teasing AEW and whatnot. Even with the TNA thing, man, like, TNA is doing a lot more than what WWE is doing, even though we did have, a WWE running on what was the TNA pay-per-view yesterday, I think?
It was Friday.
Was it
I want to say it
Friday?
was Friday.
They have pay-per-views on a Friday?
Yeah, they're trying to,
That's odd.
avoid the Saturday and Sunday programming.
But even Friday is kind of bad for look, only because of
There's no
SmackDown
good
and
choice for a
right
TNA
now. It's
pay-per-view.
true. Yeah, I guess you're right. But you know what? Their attendance seems up. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
they
mean,
seem to be gaining, steam again. I mean, look, Jeff Hardy's back. People are making a big deal. For me, it's, you know, cool, I guess, right? But what does it really do for TNA? Like, let's be honest. I mean, what does it really do? It does nothing really for them. Sure, it catches a little bit of talk for the time being, only because, I guess he was quietly let go, or his contract, quietly expired, and he just moved on to TNA, I assume. Maybe we'll see him in WWE again, now that TNA and WWE have a working arrangement again. So, I mean, do you think that's a possibility?
yeah, why not? I mean, lots of things are possibilities.
Yeah, I wonder, did he come out to modest to the top? That's what I want to know.
It sounded like his old, just his regular Hardy Boys music.
Uh, it might have been modest in. I didn't see it, so I don't know. I mean, I saw pictures and
The
shit.
clip I heard was like the classic. Oh,
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Oh, so they played that in TNA as well. Well, it is for free per se. But back to AJ Styles though.
Mm-hmm.
Marufuji against AJ Styles should be a huge match, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess, but they want AJ Styles to make it a huge match because nobody's gonna watch, Noah. I mean, the whole reason that Noah has to be working with New Japan and All Japan, and they do these triple branded shows and stuff over there, is to give those other dying companies a hand up. And New Japan's business is down, so you can imagine what All Japan and Noah's business is like. It's got to be like in the complete toilet. So I think they're hoping that I think they're hoping that enough overseas fans will have interest in seeing like a dream match, so to say. I mean,
for the ultimate marks though, it's a dream match.
Right. Yes. But then again,
and I mean ultimate.
Then again, yeah, I don't think as well known as Marufuji is, I still don't think the casual person is going to care. But I also don't think that the casual person was going to watch no matter who it was. So it doesn't really matter either. I think it's just there for, they're trying to help. And they're like, well, we don't have enough for AJ Styles to do right now. He just lost 2 straight main event title matches. So here, you borrow him for a little bit to help out. And they did this earlier in the year, a little bit with, I want to say it was, I thought it was Noah, but it could have been All Japan.
It was.
I forget.
No, it was Noah. It was Noah.
The one with
you talking about Nakamura?
No, I'm talking. Oh yeah, I forgot about Nakamura. Is the one that went to Noah, but Charlie Dempsey went to All Japan to work a match too.
Did he? I didn't actually. Yeah. I didn't know that actually. Weird enough.
And I think the last time I was talking about it, I said Charlie Dempsey went to Noah, so I got those things confused. But no, Zane Vicious I think corrected me. So it was All Japan for Dempsey and Noah for basically WWE's working with everybody but AEW, which makes me believe that like at some point they may just do something. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Look, that would be cool. I won't lie. I think that would absolutely rejuvenate AEW if that was to happen, like big time. That would be giving that WWE rub onto AEW. Can you imagine? I think it would do a million things for AEW, but would that make them look like the number 2 per se? If that makes sense, does that make them look like they conceded? Because the thing is, we don't know Tony Khan personally, obviously, right? But he comes across as clearly childish, but I could see him having a little hissy fit. But look, for example, he doesn't allow WWE to bring out the Jaguars, WWE NFL Championship, for example. Like, he won't even allow that little thing. So I don't know if he would actually play fair, even though he says he would and whatnot. But he's going to be a ball buster. And when I say that, if they were trying to figure out who's going to get, who's going to go over and whatnot, he will try to make it seem as 50-50 as possible, I think.
Well, you don't even really have to have a match. As long as you show that you can have people make appearances or like, just whatever, like just acknowledging the existence. There's many ways you can do promotional things that don't involve it. Not everything has to be a wrestling match, and nor should it be, because it's so like, how interesting is a wrestling match to 90% of the world? Like, most people don't really care. So
it's all about the build to that match, So
yeah, it's more about the just the building of bridges, I guess, would be the thing. A bit. It was like, the whole like going in and backstabbing other promotions and doing shady deals with other television stations and other businesses and buildings and stuff like that. That was all a Vince McMahon thing.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's like,
facts.
I don't think that WWE cares that much about it. Triple H is more of a like, and Triple H is not in charge per se. He's the creative person head, but not like necessarily making all the business decisions. I'm sure he has some input, but he seems more just like he likes to make those like passive aggressive comments and little ribs and stuff like that. But I don't think he's gonna like try to block anybody. He's not gonna do those things that used to be done. And clearly, with the relationships with Noah, All Japan, TNA, and other companies, it seems like he's trying to do what he thinks a wrestling fan has always wanted to see WWE do, which is acknowledge the existence. Like even just the fact of like when Michael Cole is talking about AJ Styles saying like, or the promo, no, forget Michael Cole, the promo that he talked about Cody saying like he's acknowledging AEW on television. He didn't say the name.
He didn't.
He didn't say the name.
He said
but
Ring of Honor.
You know what he said. He said Ring of Honor, and he said New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like those are things that wouldn't have happened in the past. So that's just one little step. And then, it's not like you have to like work together all the time, but you can acknowledge that other places exist. And then that way, if somebody comes from AEW, you could say, look who we got from AEW. And then when somebody goes to AEW say, look who we got. We signed this person when Ricochet. We signed the WWE's Ricochet. Like, it's true. It's not like,
as long as WWE's making a buck really from that. You know what I mean? I'm sure that'd be cool. But actually, I don't want to put my conspiracy theory hat on, right? With WWE working with all these smaller companies. But fuck it. I'm going to put it out there. Do you think they're doing this in a way to hurt AEW, though, by working with those smaller companies, building them up a little bit, just like they did with ECW back in the day to kind of try to hurt WCW? No, you think it's all fair game?
I think they're just doing what they feel like is in the best health of the business. Because no matter what anybody wants to say badly about AEW and their business, God, look at everybody else. Who is watching TNA? Who is watching MLW? Who is watching NWA? Are you kidding me? NWA, Billy Corgan you realize what he would do to get 600,000 people to watch his show? He wishes he had 600,000 people watching his show. So AEW doesn't really need the help right now. They need to, they need to keep working on their brand and building their business. And they may not always make the best choices to do that, but they don't need the help like these other companies need the help. And Triple H and Nick Khan and anybody else that's doing these things, I'm sure they're Triple H ideas because first and foremost, as a wrestling fan and a wrestling historian or fan of wrestling history, at least, he remembers those times, even if he wasn't physically a part of them, but he remembers those times when territories would exchange talent, help each other out. That's just how things were. Like sometimes you have too many people and you don't have enough for them because there's only so many hours of television. And even with all the WWE's hours of television, they still don't have enough people or enough time for everybody. So you give somebody else like a payday and that helps everybody. It helps your talent to feel like they're useful. And it helps another company to raise their visibility a little bit. And then it's just good for the health of the wrestling business overall. They can help AEW at some point, but it's not really that crucial right now because AEW is relatively doing well compared to these other wrestling companies.
Well,
and Tony's probably like he's a little bit proud to probably like, he's not going to ask for help, but I could fully see like something coming together within the next couple of years or so, just, whatever that may be.
If only WWE like butter him up so much to where, it's all a facade, but just say, right? They butter him up to the point where he's like, I love WWE, like he loves them. Like he'll do anything for him, you know what I mean? Because they helped him out so much, you know what I mean? He's forever grateful. But I'm looking at it way too like, unrealistic right there. Labrat brings up something and, I don't actually agree with this, and I'll say why in a moment, but he says if the WWE does this cross right and not like the ECW, way, TNA could jump to number 2 if AEW isn't careful. Impossible, actually, that Brett, because of their platforms. You know what I mean? Unless TNA gets on a big serious network, it doesn't matter how good TNA is over AEW. They'll never be above them.
The only way that TNA could even come close, you would have to dedicate the 3rd hour of Raw to TNA on Netflix, because there's no way they're going to do it where they're at.
No,
I don't care.
It's impossible.
And furthermore, you could tell how seriously the WWE is still like testing the waters, because it was Paxum Tately that showed up against all odds to face Jordan Grace to no reaction, because who the hell knows who that is, and it's not going to help. No, not one person would have bought a ticket hoping to see her show up. No offense to her, but she's been in the business like a couple of years.
Right.
She's not, it's not equivalent. You sent your veteran champion over to NXT, and then NXT sends over like basically a rookie girl. So it's not like an equivalent exchange right now, but WWE, they can afford to be like that. And I don't necessarily think it's like an insult to TNA necessarily. Like
it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
but they're like, well, let's see how this goes. Like Paxum is like the test. Like, all right, we'll see how we'll let her go over there, and she'll report back to us how everything is, and then we'll go from there. And maybe you'll get somebody better next time.
and look, you can't be totally upset if you're TNA, right? I mean, surely they would have been expecting something like that. I would have been if I was running TNA, and I would totally understand exactly why, they received who they received. Because again, why are they going to send someone or risk someone going on one of their pay-per-views who maybe 500 people bought? And I know I'm exaggerating, but am I really? I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's just WWE is just a different beast. TNA is just nowhere near on WWE's level. Never will be on WWE's level.
Not even with WWE's help.
No, and even then,
WWE can barely help themselves. I mean, look. I know everybody's talking about how well WWE's doing business wise, right? Like Triple H just talked about setting a gate record at Clash at the Castle, but he also said there was only 11,000 people there. How are you setting a gate record with 11,000 people? You're raising the ticket prices.
Yeah, and to ridiculous numbers, dude. Did you hear about the prices, man?
No, I didn't, but I don't need to. Basically, it's what I've been telling you guys for years now. I every time somebody talks about the WWE and their business, I say, yeah, and what's my catchphrase, guys? The price of a Hot Pocket is higher than it's ever been, too. That doesn't mean it tastes any better. It's just, and if you look at the WWE's ratings, bro, their Raw is slowly climbing down to AEW Dynamite debut numbers. They just hit like
1.7, say like around
1.6 now. It's now in like the low 1.6s. So for all the business that they're doing, the ratings are not going up TV wise. So and I only say that to say because people will, like Brandon Thurston and all his fucking ratings shit, he comes out and he talks about this, and it's like people dissect the AEW ratings and just drag them into the ground for what they're doing. But if you look at what people are actually watching on cable, it's like AEW and then a bunch of fucking news shows. And then if there's a sports playoff game, that's good. But everything else is like cable news, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, like those are the channels. And who watches that shit? You think young people are watching that shit? 18 to 49 is way too huge to be one demographic. What the hell does an 18-year-old have in common with a 49-year-old?
That is a dumb...
what do they have in common with a 39-year-old? Hell, what does an 18-year-old have in common with a 29-year-old?
And that's a huge gap in itself.
Yeah, and yet they're included in that demo, which is ridiculous. So I just think it's funny how really down in the weeds and in the minutia that people get when they talk about these ratings, not realizing that TV is dying slowly, and the only people that are watching. So I was just listening to the Jim Cornette Experience, and him and Brian were talking about because Brian leaves the TV on, and he was talking about the Professional Bull Rider Association like being on TV, and then he was talking about some like dirt midget car racing championship or whatever that's on CBS sponsored by Toyota, and they're holding that event in a town that he Googled. The population was like 300 and something, not 300,000, 300 people in Missouri somewhere. Like, that's on CBS on a Sunday morning / afternoon. Remember we used to watch wrestling on Sunday afternoons?
Right, absolutely.
And yet, no, you can't even get NWA on a real channel. You have to put it on an app, but you could have guys doing dirt racing. Like, people really fucking hate wrestling, dude. And yeah. I would love to see what the ratings are for dirt racing compared to Dynamite, you know? But anyway,
you'd be surprised, actually.
Dirt racing
actually might be.
All right. Well, let's get surprised.
I think it's called sprint racing,
is
isn't it? Isn't the dirt racing called sprint racing or some shit?
Yeah, sprint racing.
Yeah, look that up. Look, I'm not saying they're going to beat AEW, but who knows?
But even so, let's say they get a good number, right?
Right.
But who the hell's watching that? Like, what kind of people would be watching that? The kind of people that would be watching that, right? Not no young people. Not the kind of demographic that you would think would be AEW fans or like even pro wrestling fans in general, like the late teens, early 20s, you know, young adult crowd.
No. I don't even know why some of these networks possibly think there's some sort of mix between these type of crowds. I mean, think about it. Back in the day, WCW used to do, like what do you call it, man? Like Daytona races and shit, and monster cars and shit like that. Like somehow both sets of fans, commingle, which I think they don't. Maybe in the South they do, but I'm not from the South, so I don't know, and neither are you. But it's true, man. If NWA, if the networks really loved wrestling, man, NWA would have been at least in that slot, right? It'd make total sense to do that. And it's a shame too, because I want to support it. I mean, our boy Blake Bulletproof Troop is actually doing pretty well in NWA right now too, man. He's one of the contenders actually for, becoming possibly the NWA World Champion, which would be pretty cool to see if that ever happens. But I just think there's too much. It's oversaturated, as we've been saying now for a long time. And even though, we all love pro wrestling and we all want, more and more, there's too much, you know what I mean? And something's got to give eventually. And back to the question, because this all led from what Labrat said about TNA and possibly becoming number 2. It's impossible for TNA to get to that point unless they get on a bigger platform. And like you said, Vet, unless WWE dedicated the third hour to TNA on Netflix, it's impossible. It just wouldn't happen. Anyway, did you find out those numbers?
No, because nobody would ever care to ask about that. So the only thing I can find is ratings for like Formula One or NASCAR.
Oh, no. Formula One would have decent ratings.
Yeah. No, they do. They do. They get, they get good ratings, but I'm just saying, like, that's not what I'm looking for. And I can only imagine, like,
yeah,
I don't know, man. It's tough for any non-WWE platform to get big, but it's also harder to tell because the only thing people usually look at is cable TV ratings or network TV ratings, and there's many other things to qualify that other than just those numbers.
And I'll credit you, Vet, because, I used to be one of those, people that would argue the ratings too until you made me realize the bigger picture. And now when I see people just argue, because people continuously argue about the ratings, right? It's still, right now, it almost makes me totally cringe now, you know what I mean? Because people, don't get it. But in saying that, that doesn't make AEW, like, bigger than WWE, because they're not. People fucking want to pretend that they are.
I think that is the biggest issue like no matter what anybody says, it's just my personal opinion based on lots of knowledge that the number one reason why AEW is where they are and they're struggling is simply because they are not WWE. That's been every wrestling company's problem ever since the big expansion in the 80s. They've been trying to be. AWA fell. NWA would have fell, but Turner tried to give it a boost, and it eventually did a little bit and then fell and then was bought by WWE. TNA hasn't been able to do it, although they have not, like a cockroach, they've just hidden in the cracks and just not been exterminated yet. And AEW's trying, but as much as Tony Khan does, the main problem is they're just not WWE. That's it. That WWE has taken that spot as the brand recognition of wrestling. They say, like I say the same things on multiple shows. Like, people sometimes don't even say wrestling. They just say WWE, or sometimes people still to this day say WWF because they don't even know that it's been WWE for 22 years, but people still say WWF because that was the last time they cared. And you all know that if you ever talk wrestling with people that aren't fans, you'll hear occasionally people will still say WWF because that's the last time they paid attention to it. When you have that level of brand recognition globally, it doesn't matter what else anybody does. It's really hard to catch up to that. So it's not because Tony Khan doesn't know how to book. It's not because people do too many flips. Those are not the reasons. Ultimately, the reasons are they're not WWE. That's the number one reason. And then there are many other reasons of which, you could make a list, but they're all like a far number two, is just, I would say at this point, a good far number two is the fact that Warner Brothers fucks everything up. Like everything. No, if there's an avenue of business, Warner Brothers has and will continue to fuck it up. They have been for decades. It's nothing new. They've always fucked things up. So, and that includes WCW, the last person to ever overtake the WWE. Warner Brothers fucked it up. So that's now imagine. I know it's a little different landscape now, but you still have idiots in charge, and those are the people that are partnering with AEW. So it's an uphill climb for them. I'm sorry to say. I have sympathy for them. I hope they do well, but they're trying to get business deals done with possibly the most inept company that's ever existed at a high level for so long.
And that's the thing, is, I feel bad for New Japan because I feel like they've been screwed all the way around. Not purposely, but when I say screwed, I feel like they've made some bad business decisions at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
deep down too, man.
Sorry, Jimmy, you were breaking up there for a second, but yeah, I was also going to say, it's like, you also know, like, Tony can't say anything about that either because those are his partners right now. So he can't bury them for all the stupid things that they've been doing. He has to just keep a smile on his face and say they've been great partners and they're looking forward to doing it. But, ultimately they both need each other because Warner Brothers ain't going to pay for programming to replace them. And they're not going to get a better deal somewhere else. So they both kind of have each other over a barrel, and they're both trying to act like they have the advantage, which neither one of them do. So,
what's the end game? When do you think they will eventually, both give in and sign a new deal? Because, the longer this takes, and they're not going anywhere, I guarantee it, but the longer it takes, though, it leads to more speculation. And then, people talking all this bullshit in the IWC. Like, when are they going to get this deal actually done? Do you think, in your opinion, anyway?
What is the deadline? Wasn't it at later this year, or maybe even at the end of this
year? That's what I heard. I heard September, something like that.
Right. Or is that when the exclusivity period ends? Because there's an exclusivity period, I guess, of negotiations that.
Right.
that once that
Basically, you become a free
expires,
agent.
yeah, well, like you can just you're still under contract, but you can entertain offers, I guess. Well, look,
Right.
I don't know who's going to offer it because then again, I don't know who made WWE offers. Maybe some people made offers that were like WWE was like, we can do way better than that, so it just wasn't publicized. But
Oh,
maybe
of
that could be a
course.
good deal for AEW if they made him an offer. Like, it all depends. But I think pro wrestling, I think, personal opinion, is good, easy programming for a network, whether it's cable or network, because they can. A lot of the cost comes out of the company's pocket, not the
Right.
network's pocket.
Yep.
So Tony's got to pay for everything, and you're basically just giving them the broadcasting rights fees. You're paying them to be able to show their content on your network first run live. That's what you're paying for. So it depends if that's cheaper for you to do, or whether it's cheaper for you to say, okay, we're going to bring in like an hour-long drama and it's going to run 13 episodes, and each episode's going to have a $2 million budget, and we're going to lock it in for this amount of time, like, and then the episode has the budget. Does that include the actor's budget? Does that include everything else? Like whatever,
Right.
all this stuff, but that's the network paying for that, right? So, and on top
Facts.
of the rights fees, right? So
True.
I don't know.
That's what I don't understand. It's risk free too, in my opinion, because there's always a chance with pro wrestling that you could strike gold by having programming on your network. You know what I mean? You never know. It can happen. Plus, it's new content week in, week out. 100% new content week in, week out, week in, week out. To me, it's almost like there's no risk to it. It's less money, like you said, depending how big they become, I guess. But I just don't understand why more networks wouldn't be vying for something. But like you said before, it ain't WWE though. So
Right.
it is what it
That's
is.
AEW's number one hurdle to overcome.
Right.
They are not WWE. So, but I mean, you can't tell me that it's like the storylines or Tony can't book or all this stuff, because all those things were things that like crazy, nonsense storylines and stuff was like the WWE was doing that at the height of their popularity in the late 90s, early 2000s too.
Absolutely, dude.
So
Come on.
it's all basically the same. A lot of this stuff is very similar. Now to the point of Liz saying Warner Brothers can just play Big Bang Theory, they honestly don't need wrestling, but no, you can't, because like I said, we've been over this. Primetime television, you're now competing with the other people who are trying to put on programming. So if you put on reruns, you will definitely lose. You need something competitive. Everybody has competitive things in primetime slots, even though there are some, if you run sitcoms during the week, like, yeah, they have off seasons and they show reruns at certain times during the summer or whatever like that. But everybody's kind of doing that. But if you were to put up on your primetime channel where the advertisers want to spend all their money and you're putting up reruns of a 10-year-old show, somebody's going to watch something else. They're going to be like, well, I already watched all these episodes. I've seen every episode of The Big Bang Theory because I watched them before I turned off Dynamite every Wednesday. So I don't need to watch these again. I'll go watch whatever else is on. And that's why companies don't just put on reruns. They have dedicated channels for old reruns of TV shows.
Right.
So if you even have cable, you're going to turn to like Me TV or, like one of those shows that show old shows. You're not, TNT can't afford to not compete with other companies. So
No, 100%. You're spot on, man. I mean, you couldn't have put it any better. I mean, and one other thing about WWE and the name recognition and whatnot, you can go to any part of the world, and I'm telling you, man, just about. They might not know WWE, but they damn sure know WWF. I guarantee it. Guaranteed, man. Someone that doesn't even know how to speak English properly. Yeah, the F. They always get the F back in.
Yeah, get that F in.
Yeah.
F it.
Absolutely.
F it.
Heck, dude, it wasn't long ago that I even heard Vince McMahon in an interview actually say WWF instead of WWE by accident. No shit.
Eh.
So, I mean, I hate the fact that it's called WWE. I'm cool with it. Don't get me wrong, but WWF was, such a
Right.
good name. World Wrestling Federation
That's one of
just
the
had
one of one of the many L's Vince McMahon took over the years.
the pandas, bro.
That
They
when
got
when
him.
all
They
these
got
people
him
try to
good.
give him credit for everything, let's not forget all the L's.
He's
Um,
taken a lot of L's. Don't worry about that. But that's what makes him, put his bullshit aside. That's what made him such a great businessman because he wasn't afraid to take L's also, and and see if if it does well, it does well. At least he tries, and he's stubborn too. But speaking of that, and there's one more news item, but I actually do want to bring that up. Apparently, the Vince McMahon case right now is being paused or some shit like that.
mm-hmm.
What does that mean now? What's happening here?
Well, my understanding is that uh, it's like for federal investigation purposes, they want to look more into stuff.
Oof,
So
that
they
sounds bad. Bad
it is bad.
for
Well,
Vince.
it's bad
That
for
is
it's bad for him. Yeah.
right. Well, they make it seem like it's a positive thing that a lot of these dirt sheets that it's paused.
I don't think they really understand what's happening.
Clearly,
I think they're just used to writing wrestling results and listening to podcasts and taking clips and writing articles about them. I don't think they actually know how the world works or anything else in it. And they don't even know how wrestling works, which is their job. So let alone do you think they know how the legal process works? But
some of these guys are an embarrassment to the business. If you want to call them part of the business, it's just eesh. Honestly, dude, it's disgusting. But anyway,
well, that's fine.
what
Well, at least Denise got to ask CM Punk a question at the post.
is she still doing? Is she? Well, was she on the?
She went to Scotland.
She went to
What
Scotland.
is she doing?
No shit.
What is she doing in Scotland?
Wow.
Stay your ass at home, Denise. No yeet.
Just see that, man. She's something else.
Bless her.
Absolutely. One more bit of news that's any sort of relevance. Apparently, Hangman Page reportedly set for imminent AEW return, Vet. Yeah.
Oh my god! Why
the
couldn't it
Cowboy
have been
shit.
last night? Why couldn't it have been last night? I missed the Hangman.
What's up with Hangman? I've heard he's going through some sort of mental issues. I don't know what's going on with him, but it seems like there seems to be a little trend going in AEW, Vet, where you see wrestlers appear and then they just disappear for no apparent reason for a good 4 months. Well, what's going on, like, with all of this shit? What's up with Hangman? I just find this kind of weird, man.
Well, I know you're just bringing it up just as a topic, but like, literally, why would anyone ask me what's up with Hangman? I pay no attention to Hangman Page whatsoever, even when he's part of the TV show I'm reviewing.
I
let
know,
alone
I can't
in his
stand him,
personal
dude,
life.
but
But I have no idea what's happened with him, and it's not something that would probably be publicized. Otherwise, we would probably know, right? Like, if he needed to take a mental health month, or if he had some family problems, or if he just whatever he wants to do. I mean, I don't know what. Maybe he was injured somehow, and they just didn't want to talk about it. I really don't know, but I just like I don't know how to even relate whatever's going on with him to whatever might be going on with anybody else, because it's not like they would necessarily be related.
yeah, maybe. Like I said, I'm just bringing it up because, like you said, it's topic. Not that like I give a shit, but I do find it kind of weird. That's for sure.
And to answer Candace Spaceman's question, where is the Dark Order? Ring of Honor.
Oh, I forgot all about Dark Order.
Watch ROH.com and you can see all the Dark Order you want for $9.99 a month.
So they're still around in Ring of Honor for real? I totally forgot all about these guys, man.
I believe they had a match as recently as this Thursday.
Is the Ring of Honor show still 2 hours, like week in, week out?
It's weird. It seems like sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't.
What? Really?
Like, it seems like it could be different lengths. Like, sometimes it's only like an hour. Maybe it just depends.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe it just depends on how their taping schedule goes. Like, maybe if they're doing maybe if they're doing like everything in one night, like a Dynamite.
So dumb.
if they do a Dynamite, a Rampage, and a Ring of Honor, I could see them making Ring of Honor only 1 hour. But like maybe if they're doing a Dynamite, they could do, if they're only doing Dynamite, maybe they do like 1 hour of Ring of Honor, and then they'll do like a second hour on a different night, and then cut them together. I've seen them do that before, where they're like they tape 2 nights and make it 1 show. So I don't really know, but that's where I see the Dark Order. Like I see them have tag team matches there. So, and I know that was more of a joke question, but I'm just answering it honestly because
well, it's the truth, right? Liz says, "Hell, we care about Keith Lee and have no real idea why he's off screen." Well, apparently he's injured. I think there's more though to Keith Lee. I think I don't want to say it, but the C word again. I think there's a lot more complications with him having that at the time, and he hasn't fully recovered since. Like in many ways, dude. Maybe he's got a irregular heartbeat going on. I don't know, man. But I feel like there's some sort of heart problem going on with him, man. I don't know that for sure. There's just the vibe I get with him for some reason.
Yeah, he's being very vague about it, but it's his private business. And I mean, well, his wife's putting in work. You know, she's gotten in great shape, and she's going on NXT, too, SmackDown, everywhere. She's busting her ass. And the last time we saw Keith Lee was walking into the shot at the Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's true.
He was healthy enough to walk into CM Punk's shot, but
maybe he's holding out.
Could not have been an accident at all.
No, probably man.
Like, especially considering he was one of the guys on Punk's Collision. So I could completely see a scene backstage where Punk sees Keith Lee and he's like, "Hey, I'm about to do this on camera. Can you just pretend like you got lost and walk into my shot?" I can see that.
Or he walked in on fucking on Gunther. Would have been even better. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, they didn't do that. Anyway, Vet, that's pretty much the news for the week. We spent a good hour of all sorts of news items, which leads us to putting our gloves on.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And I will say this before we put our gloves on and sift through the wreckage. I didn't think the show was all too bad, right? But I don't know. I'm confused, but we'll get into that and I'll say why. But so let's put our gloves on. Right.
In saying that, Jimmy, as you like to say, in saying that, I'm going to give my grade up front. Hard F. Hard.
Like a hard F.
Yes. Get the F in.
Ooh.
That's what this is.
Yeah, pal.
This show is an F, especially for an anniversary. Like if you were trying to celebrate anything with this, F. I'm starving. I'm hungry. I wanted a box of donuts. I wanted a box of muffins. I wanted a menu that had a variety of things that I could, satisfy my palate with. And I got almost nothing out of this. I got the smell from another restaurant. I could smell something else like, that smells good. Why don't we have any of that?
It smelled close. Yeah, it smelled close, but it just wasn't there. And I know what you're referencing to in some ways. I found this show kind of weird, dude, because did it feel like a whole bunch of random again to you?
Yep.
And that's what this show is quickly becoming, dude. It's becoming a whole lot of random, and I'm still even like I said, I don't want to jump the gun. I'm even confused with Deonna Purrazzo and the Thunder Rosa sort of feud, because you would have thought this sort of feud would have been the feud that Purrazzo had with Toni Storm, which made a lot more sense with their history. But anyway, who am I to judge? I just wanted to put it out there. But anyway, let's put our gloves on, because not only do we need to put gloves on, actually, but we need to put some masks on, because it smells like shit. Straight up.
Yeah, these are proctology gloves.
Jeez. Zane says, "Vet smelled my plate."
Yeah, I
God
don't know
damn.
what he. I don't know. Considering what's been on your plate, you've been liking a lot of Gallus recently, so it certainly couldn't have been that.
He
Yeah,
smelled the haggis.
fucking. All right.
That's a
Well,
good one,
anyway,
Zane.
so the aforementioned Christian welcomes us for this 1 year anniversary episode. This promo looked less like a Christian promo and more like a Kane 2007 promo. You remember when Kane was like no mask, world heavyweight champion, like doing these weird like promos in the bowels with the red lights on,
And
like
then laughing.
yeah, that's what this kind of was. It's look more like that.
Dude.
Right. And then here we go. Here we're starting out. I'm like, it's Blackpool Combat Club versus TMDK for some reason. Which I'll tell you what I think the reason might have been until I watched this. And Rocky Romero, and Leo Rush. Okay, Leo Rush might be on my menu, but in this mess, like, look what they're putting him with. I just can't with this. And
Makes no
it's going to
sense
get weirder.
to me.
It's going to get weirder later. Everything about this is going to get weird. So originally when I see this match, I'm like, bleh. But I was like, well, why is TMDK here? Well, I assume it's probably something to do with Forbidden Door. Like maybe they want to do a thing where it's going to end up being like Wheeler and Claudio versus them for the New Japan Strong title or whatever belt they have that they won recently, right? But they didn't really do anything with that. They beat Leo Rush. They just had John Moxley go over on Leo Rush. And so I'm like, oh, well, there goes that, I guess. And then he does this promo on Naito, who's going to challenge him. He came out at Dominion and challenged John Moxley, for the championship after John Moxley successfully defended it against Evil and the whole House of Torture. It took the whole faction, couldn't beat John Moxley, but whatever. So then he does this promo on Naito where he basically says he's going to kill him. Like literally, like he's like, I'm going to put the nail in your coffin and bury you. And like, what did Naito ever do to you? He never did anything to you.
Surely he did. He must have. I mean, clearly he's taking this shit really personal. I know that's a shitty, and I mean shitty promo, straight up. That means for you to have to say that shit, for real, you can't cut a promo, man, straight up. No. Really, you just can't.
First of all, you're not going to kill him. Like, he's going to live.
He will. I mean, hopefully.
Right, yeah. So...
No, he will live.
Yeah, he's going to live. So you're a liar, is what you are. And
well, they're part of the Blackpool Combat Club,
right?
Vet. They're lying already.
Yeah, they're lying. This is a lie. So that was weird, but it was more weird that you had Leo Rush come in and then do this job. But it wasn't as weird at the time as it was going to get later. So we'll save that for later. But I don't know. The Mighty Don't Kneel. They're from your neck of the woods, Jimmy.
They are.
Hometown boys.
They kneeled.
They kneeled
in this match. They kneeled.
Well, not them personally, but
well, you know what I mean. They kneeled. The fact that I'll give him. Rocky was healing it up in this match, dude. Like suddenly, 1 week he's a babyface in AEW. Now he's a heel. Like the Blackpool Combat Club. God knows what they are. This is what I hate about this company. The way they see things. You know what I mean? You can't have 1 week this guy is a face and then suddenly that guy is a face and then that guy is. You can't have that shit, man. Like, and it really like stresses me out in some ways. Not physically or anything like that, but just it insults your intelligence. Like, you can't keep doing this shit. So again, why are they doing this? So this week, TMDK and Romero, and they're the heels, I guess, right? So why? Like, because if they're Japan guys,
I don't know. I mean, technically, But even if you wanted to go with that route, Leo Rush and Rocky Romero are part of Chaos, and TMDK is part of TMDK. So you have two factions teaming up to take on one faction.
Where was Zack Sabre Jr.?
And yeah, exactly. And TMDK has more than 4 guys, so they could have had just
right.
one faction or another. As a matter of fact, since we were speaking about Ring of Honor this week and the Dark Order and everybody, I'm pretty sure that 2 other TMDK guys, Bad Dude Tito and some other guy I didn't know was in the group, they had a match on Ring of Honor. So it's like you could have had those 2 guys come in. Yeah, with Shane and Mikey. You could have had those 2 guys there. Nothing about this made really any sense at all. Some people would tell you that that's probably why AEW is not doing as well as WWE. But
Well, I mean,
it has nothing to do with that. That's just a bad side effect.
It's a bad side effect.
Right. So,
oh man,
and don't worry, all the bad side effects are over in TNA right now. So
I'm reacting to something, but I just can't put my finger on it.
All right. So, anyway, but yeah, do we have anything else to actually say about this?
I was just left confused, including with the promo at the end with Moxley telling Naito that he's going to kill him.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to kill you.
That sums
he
it up.
He might as well just came
him.
out. Yeah, bury him. He said a coffin. He used the phrase a coffin.
A pine coffin, no less.
A pine box. Yes, he's gonna put him in the ground. These are all words that Jon Moxley has said. He wasn't saying it as in, he said it the way he would tell somebody that he really intended to kill, like if you were watching a movie or something, and somebody was being like over dramatic about somebody that they wanted to get revenge and kill him, you know? But it's a wrestling match, and Naito's never done anything to Jon Moxley. In fact, when he challenged him for that title at Dominion, he just walked out and adjusted his hat like he always does. He didn't touch him, so I don't know what he's so mad about. But, yeah, I don't know.
Jeez, maybe he's mad that he's going to drop the belt to Naito this time.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe he thinks, maybe in his twisted mind of psychology, he's trying to, like, you know,
protect himself.
well, just like that doesn't protect him, but maybe he's just trying to, like, I don't know. Maybe that's his way of, like, maybe that's his way of trying to hype up Naito, like I think you're important enough that I should kill you. I'm trying to think the way a madman would think. I don't know. I'm putting you over. I'm saying some people, Jimmy, aren't worth killing. Like Leo Rush.
Well, yeah.
It's okay just to DDT him and pin him. He doesn't need to die. But Naito, on the other hand, a legend, one of the most over guys in New Japan history. I gotta kill you. Faves. I gotta end your life now. You're too important. I can't leave you alive to maybe challenge me another day. I've got to end this while I can. Is that his psychology, like trying to build him up?
I guess. I mean, if you want to think Moxley, yeah, too big of a threat. Clearly, even with 2 shot knees. I mean, he's got to kill him, but he's not going to kill him. And that's what I mean. Do wrestlers not think? Someone like a Moxley, you think, no, forget it. You're right. That's why forget it. Forget it.
Yeah, you started and then you realized halfway through saying it. Like,
I would literally put the brakes on. I was like, nah, don't worry about it.
So I think, I think it's a good possibility that Naito could actually win at Forbidden Door and if he does, he will definitely be the only Japanese man that wins at that show. Every other person will go under to AEW talents. So, but maybe they'll feel like that balances it out if Naito gets to bring his title back to the company.
But you know what? In saying that, I wouldn't be surprised if Moxley did go over if they're planning some sort of right. That's the sad part. So, and
but
I feel
who does
like Moxley,
beat him? They don't have anybody in New Japan to that level yet. Unless he thinks he's going to is he going to drop the belt to his own protege in
I can see that. That would be the future, you think, like the long-term goal. I don't know if now's not the right time to do that, man. That's just hot-shotting and hoping for the best, literally, if they do that.
Well, now's not the right time to have Moxley have it anyway, but
there's that too. I mean, yeah, look, I feel bad for New Japan Pro Wrestling right now, dude. They're in a bad spot, man. They really are. So
they're just so forbidden, So, well, you know what it is time for? MJF and Roosh package. Just in case you haven't been watching, they've caught you up on the MJF and Roosh situation, which is now scheduled not for Forbidden Door, but for Dynamite on Wednesday.
Now,
And we're going to have a
Wednesday.
commercial-free first hour or something so that we can have these guys go at it.
Are you excited?
Yes. Aren't you?
Well, I'm over the moon. Can't wait, as a matter of fact.
All right, well, look. I know that you probably think I'm being facetious, but...
No, you're being for real.
Think about it. It's MJF and Roosh. Who
Right,
wouldn't
on
want to see these
paper.
guys? Everything that Roosh does is exciting because you're like, holy shit, what's he going to do this time? And MJF is one of the best. So it's like, I want to see how this plays out. I want to see how they work together. It should be really entertaining. For me, it is. I don't know what a regular fan would think. What does a regular fan think?
Yeah, tell us, please. But no, but in all seriousness, you know how
Not
the
that
match
you
is gonna
guys in the
go.
chat are regular. You are all very extraordinary. But you're
I
the
never said
closest
the
thing
chat.
we have to regular fans. So that's why
Right.
we want to know your input too.
I
But
mean,
yeah, I am excited. But does them actually having the match on Dynamite, not Forbidden Door, have to do something with the whole AAA CMLL situation that has been going on for years and years, where they're not allowed to even work on the same cards, let alone work each other, and yada yada yada?
Maybe.
Is
I
that a
mean,
thing?
CMML is making another appearance again on this very show. One of your favorites, as a matter of fact. But we'll get there. Who knows? I mean, this Forbidden Door, to be honest, feels more like an AEW pay-per-view than anyone else, as dumb as that sounds. Doesn't it feel that way? Doesn't it feel like it's just building towards more AEW related shit than New Japan or CMLL and whatnot, even though we're seeing them on television suddenly?
It kind of does. And the fact that you've already done it twice before, it's going to get
Right.
less special every time. Less special
True.
and less forbidden. Like you're clearly
I mean-
not, you're clearly
You think
not
it's the
forbidden
last-
anymore because you've done it annually. So
And you've signed all their big stars on top of that. So that makes me
Right.
think, do you think this could be the last Forbidden Door? And if it is, boy, does that screw over New Japan bad, in my opinion. Left them out in the lurch, if that was the case.
well, I think, they can always rebrand it. They could call it something else or they could just play it up more. I mean, if you have signed a company's talent, maybe the company maybe that's not the one that you go to war with. You find another company to go to war with. But I mean, there's
Maybe.
only everybody, it's kind of like it's a compromise because you want the exposure that you get from AEW TV, but then you're going to be doing the majority of the jobs. So, it's like look, it just is what it is. But you're right in that I agree that it feels that because more people have just jumped ship to AEW, then what is really left to compete with at Forbidden Door? Who's out
Really?
there?
It's true, man. It's sad, unfortunately, but it is what it is. So that's why I just got a feeling this.
Unless you tell a story in which AEW does a bunch of jobs, and then it's like, oh shit, we got our ass kicked. We gotta step it up.
Yeah, but I don't know.
And sometimes in wrestling, knowing when and how to lose is much more important than going over. So
Facts,
we'll see.
but do
I don't
they
think
know
anybody
that?
there knows that, but I mean,
That's
still,
the thing.
I'm
the
saying
million-dollar
it so that I'm just saying that out loud so that all of you can sort of have that seed planted in your mind and to think more broadly about business. Next is an Acclaimed in-ring with Tony Schiavone. They cut a promo on the EVPs, specifically calling them the Young Cucks. That's
how
hilarious. Oh man. Oh boy. Edgy old Max. He's going to get fined again. Speaking of which, Cutler does come out. Brandon Cutler does come out and he finds them. And then Christopher Daniels comes right out and he says that Tony Khan has reversed the fines. Like he says it the way they say, like, when Howard Finkel would say the referee has reversed the decision, which is like, well, how does a reverse fine work? Does that mean that now the Young Bucks have to pay the Acclaimed? Like, what is that?
I have no idea, but I will say one thing though. I like Cutler in this role. You know what I mean? Because this is perfect for Cutler. Honestly, he's just a beat up boy. That's it. But you know what? This role suits him anyway. Also,
oh yeah, that's just to put a button on this. Everybody beats up Cutler after that, including Daniels. So, they beat him up, and that's the end of the segment. But anyway, go on.
I was gonna say, I'll say this. As stupid and cheesy as like the young cucks and whatnot, like everybody fucking says that, right? It's nothing new. I felt it was the best Acclaimed promo, dude. It was the first time, no raps, no bullshit. Just got to, even for Max Caster, dude, it felt like a wrestling promo, even though some of the bullshit he said was just ridiculous. But I do like the delivery of his promo. I felt like, he was a lot more serious. He tried to be legitly serious, not just for the fuck of it. He was actually trying to actually be serious. And I felt, for a promo, going by their caliber and what they usually do, I didn't mind it. Although they said a lot of the shit that people already say anyway. It's nothing new. It's not like they just came up with that shit. And I hate how they just use terms like that just for the sake of using those terms, right? So, but other than that, I actually thought their promo was half decent.
Too, like, we heard you the first time, Max.
Right.
We get it. You like to use that word.
Fucking cucks.
Yeah. The, and that's the other thing. They were going to rap, and that's when Cutler does the cutoff spot.
Right.
But that's the thing. Like, you're saying that they came out and tried to take things more seriously, but then, like, right after that, everything with Cutler and Daniels is back to being goofy again. So it kind of undercuts the seriousness. So it's like, even when you get a small win, you take an L right after. It shouldn't have been like, whoever. I still don't know what you mean. Reverse the fine. Because if you just say if you just nullify the fine, then you don't have to pay it. But like a reverse fine makes it seem like somebody's got to pay them.
Yeah, it's just dumb, bro. It's stupid. It's just it's kids at work. I mean, you just got to dumb yourself down, Vet, unfortunately, and just take it for what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
a la carte, Vet. A la carte. Even though,
I passed by all this.
I was just gonna say.
Here's something that in the past I might not have passed on, but I passed right now.
Oh.
The past is past, and now I've passed. It's a no DQ match with Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa, and they're dressed in their street fighting clothes. So
can I ask, dude? Thank you for saying that, because I've always wondered, like, why do they have to wear street clothes if they're in the ring? Like, you know what I mean? Like, because they're tough. There's furniture. Is that what it is? Like,
you got to show that it's the streets.
But we're not in the streets. They can't show us it's the streets.
It's the streets of the ring.
I see.
I guess in the idea of, if you're doing a grappling contest, you want to use the most form-fitting clothes as possible so that the people can't grab your clothes and use them against you.
Well, you think.
Right. And so, like, if you're dressed for a street fight, that means you're fighting. You're not going to be doing a lot of wrestling. So you just come as you are, and then you have a brawl all over the place. Here's the problem, though. Every match is a brawl these days. Like, every match kind of looks the same, so there's nothing to separate it. If you had like regular wrestling matches that look like athletic contests, and then you had street fights that look like brutal street fights, that's one thing. But now every wrestling match looks like a brutal street fight, whether there's DQs or not. Like, you're all doing crazy moves trying to cripple each other, apparently, and then kicking out anyway. So now there's really not much difference between your regular standard match and a street fight, right? Except maybe furniture, like you said. So it's a visual. Like, if you're wearing like a t-shirt, jeans, whatever, you're basically saying, like, this ain't like a collegiate Olympic wrestling match where I'm trying to like grapple you and pin you. I'm going to punch you. I'm going to kick you. I'm going to hit you with stuff. It's like, it's like a visual indicator for the audience. Like, this is
I know.
different.
I get it, but like it's just really deep down. I think it's overthinking it in some ways.
It could be, but again, that's probably because of how far we've gotten from the sport
Right.
that we're supposed to be presenting here. So, and it's overdone too. Like,
right.
if you only saw it once in a while, you'd be like, "Oh shit's on, right? She's got jeans on." Zane was liking Thunder Rosa in those jeans. I think
she looked great. Both of them actually looked great. Another thing that kind of not weirded me, but Deonna Purrazzo was wearing way too much makeup for a street fight.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey, you gotta look pretty too, though. I mean,
Well, it's a street fight. You always have to look pretty, right? I mean, that's what happens. You get prettier.
When you walk those streets.
I had another thought go in my mind when you said that, but yeah, don't walk the streets, girls. Just saying.
Do not walk those streets. Well, so Deonna, with all her makeup, beat up a ringside photographer and took his camera. And first of all, what guy is using a regular camera for? What is he? Is he sending these photos to fucking Bill Apter or something?
I mean, dude, did he even look like a cameraman for real? Like, he didn't even look like a damn cameraman.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
he was just there to get beat up. So she took the camera, she hit Rosa with the camera, and then she put Rosa in like a rope. She put her tied her up in the ropes sort of and did a surfboard type move, and they tried to say it was a Venus de Milo in the ropes, but it's still not a Venus de Milo. It was a surfboard. She did a surfboard in the ropes, and I guess the ref stopped it. I don't recall Thunder Rosa actually submitting, but
she didn't submit. She just done the Stone Cold. WrestleMania 13.
Right. She was out from the camera.
That's all that was.
That vicious camera.
The vicious camera. She went to sleep, and that was that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So a win for Deonna. She needed one.
So where do we go from now? You'd think this match would have been the blow-off, right? But clearly it ain't.
Clearly it ain't. Unless it is.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them either way. It's either it is or it's not. But I'm still left confused.
Yeah, we're all confused. I guess they're counting on us to be confused, and so we're gonna tune in next week to cure our confusion, right? But I don't get it. I better watch again to find out.
Well, yeah, it's exactly the case. But can I ask before we move on? Like, shouldn't this type of feud been? Shouldn't have the Tony Storm Purrazzo feud sort of been more like this? If anything, than a Thunder Rosa and Deonna Purrazzo feud?
Maybe, but I do kind of like that it started with this, then went to Tony, and now it's back. Like, unfinished business.
Yeah, right.
I like that part of it.
That's cool.
But if they're going to do this, I don't want them to do the same thing with Tony that they're going to do with Rosa, so I don't mind. It was really just going to be they were just going to get a match out of Deonna and Tony. I don't think it was meant to be like a long thing. So,
okay.
I don't know. Maybe this can get her back from there. But like, meaning Deonna gets back to another shot at Tony at some point down the road, months down the road, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, I was just reading a comment by the king of 2K24 himself, saying, Jimmy, some idiot wanted Punk's first match against Drew be in hell in a cell. I will not pass it to someone like TK not to go further. Yeah, it'd be someone threatening to kill somebody, maybe. That's what it would have been.
In a regular match.
100%. 100%. That's how much further it would have gone. But anyway.
Well, the best part of that he's referencing was it was like some reporter asked a Mark's question. It could have been the reporter's question that he tried to pass off as a Mark's question, but it was really his question. But whatever the case, he said something like, "It's got to be a Hell in a Cell," and my favorite was Punk's response of saying like, I don't want any of my matches to be in a Hell in a Cell. I don't want to have any ladder matches. I don't want to have anything crazy. I just want to solve things with my two fists, right? Because that's the thing. You would have to think, like, again, we've gotten so far out of like what we're supposed to be doing.
Look at that. Hell in a Cell now. Like, you know what I mean?
Think about it. Like if you're a wrestler and you've got a match coming up, like this is your job. And then your boss tells you, yeah, we're going to put you in Hell in a Cell. It's a very dangerous match. You can be like, fuck you. I don't want to be in Hell in a Cell. I want to have a regular match. Why would anybody want to be in a match like that? Nobody would want to be in a match like that ever.
And
nobody wants to be told, hey, you got to climb up a ladder that you could potentially get pushed off to grab a belt.
Yeah, fuck
you know,
that.
like
You want the easy
especially
way,
one
man.
of those ones with like 5-6 people in it. Like,
No thanks.
anybody can run up and grab my belt. Why would I be happy about this? You know,
It's true.
If I was a
Logic.
heel and and if I was a heel and you put me in a match like that, I would spend every TV time up to that match complaining about it and trying to get out of it. That's what I would do. You know?
Oh, man. Well, it's true. Like, what normal person would want to go through all that anyway, regardless?
Yeah. So
it's true, man.
Yeah.
To bleed,
I think,
says.
yeah, to bleed. I think that's essentially I think wrestling booking is a little bit easier if you just take the things that people would really think and then make that part of your show. You know? Not that you expose the business, but just that you think logically and then make that part of the character.
It's just
a baby
man.
face can be down for whatever, but a heel should never, they should want to be put in those kind of positions and they should really make a fuss about it. Things like that. You don't see it enough.
Issue. Right.
Yeah.
But that's the issue today. You know what I mean? It's the total opposite, man. It's bizarre to me. I still can't wrap my mind around it, but I don't know. Maybe they know better. Who knows?
Yeah, sure they know. I mean, but we have 1 year of Collision, and we had a package celebrating this. Of course, CM Punk wasn't part of it, but we all knew that. The show only exists because of him, and it doesn't have him anymore.
Literally.
And a lot of what we could attribute to being enjoyable aspects of it probably stemmed from him, at least in part, at the beginning.
Dude, I loved the show when it debuted. Absolutely loved it. It was a breath of fresh air. Boy, has that turned.
Yeah. But yeah, so we see a bunch of things and I'm like, yeah, I remember some of that. Good job on the package, I guess. You sure did selectively choose some moments from Collision.
But they missed the most important moments of Collision.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, Dalton Castle with some boys, some of which may or may not have been the Outrunners.
They were the Outrunners, right? I wasn't tripping. The boys were the Outrunners, right? 100%.
Definitely the Outrunners. And there was 2 other guys, but I didn't see who they were, so maybe somebody else did. I was about to be excited for this because it was finally something I wanted. It's Dalton Castle versus Hechicero, my new favorite.
I thought of you straight away once Hechicero was coming out.
Yeah, and then the Gates of Agony also came out with him, and I was like, "What are you guys doing?"
Yeah, and that's what I wrote in my notes. I thought, okay, and apparently it happened on Rampage. Vet. This is how they explained it. You see, yeah, that it happened on Rampage, and somehow we got the Gates of Hechicero. Oh, sorry, Hechicero. Silent H.
Silent H.
I love his. Look, I won't lie. I love his theme, bro. When he comes out to that theme, it's banging. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen Hechicero, he's like a classic. What you would think when you hear a wrestler, like just this thick guy. It's just fucking just this thick, undefined guy. Like. He would just be big anywhere that he is, even if he's not tall. He's just big somehow. Like
he's just guys a fridge. Like that. He's a unit. You know what I mean? A barrel, even.
Like a box. He's a box of a man, and he looks cool, and he has a cool mask, and he has cool music, and he's Hechicero means like wizard or magician or witch or something that somebody that conjures like something that conjures something, right? Like basically. So that's it. He's a magician. He's a submission magician, not to be confused with Shayna Baszler, but he's cool and he's out there and he's wrestling, and Dalton Castle kind of wrestles, but this match didn't actually last very long. And as a matter of fact, This is the first time I've ever seen somebody pinned with a head scissor.
Oh my god, bro! What the fuck was that, dude?
I don't know.
I forgot about that until you just said it. Dude, that was the most weirdest, dumbest. Was that a finishing move? What the hell was that, dude? He landed. Let me get this straight. Dalton Castle landed on top of Hechicero. Like, Hechicero practically protected him. And he like, that was just weird, bro. Like, what was that, man?
I'm not sure. I even rewound it a couple times to make sure, but the camera angles didn't quite get it right. So
what was that?
The best conclusion I could come up with was that he gave Dalton Castle a head scissor so hard that finished him, and it was a wrap. 1, 2, 3. Because he pinned him with his head still scissored, like he had his legs around his neck. And if you guys are all wrestling fans, right? You know what a head scissor is. You've seen guys take it. Usually they roll through, but this was like a slamming head scissor, and Dalton just laid down for it. So I guess that's his finisher.
That was the most bizarre finish I ever saw, man. But it was just, if that's his finisher, whatever, man. But that's I don't know, man.
At least it's good enough to beat Dalton Castle. So a big win for Hechicero, my favorite.
Huge win for Hechicero.
Yeah,
that's
finally I got a snack on this show. A little,
very
like
minimal.
A couple of saltine crackers and a glass of water.
A glass of water, right? Not even Kool-Aid. It was a guillotine. That was not a guillotine. No way. That was not a guillotine, Dane. I don't know what guillotine you were seeing. I don't know what that was, but yeah. Well, I know maybe he's meaning a guillotine literal sense because it's the head scissors. You know, I assume
maybe
you mean that.
Maybe cut Dalton's head off. Take
But
that, John
bizarre,
Moxley. Take notes. That's how you kill the guy.
You don't say it, you do it.
Right. And then they were going to give, Hechicero and the gates of Hechicero were gonna give him a post-match beating too, because like beating him with a head scissors was enough, so they're gonna kick the shit out of him some more. And they kicked the shit out of the boys. Like the Outrunners ran back down and got beat up. So that was good. I was about to say, are the boys not going to help him? And then they ran out. So I was like, okay, at least they did
That's
that.
another thing that I was confused, because when they first came out as the boys, right? I'm thinking, is that who I think it is, right? And then when they came back, I'm like, it is them, right? As in the Outrunners. Since when have they been the boys? What's happening here?
That I have not seen before, but
I know the actual boys got released.
I'm not going to say they've never done it. I just haven't seen it yet.
Okay, interesting. I mean, it could work because they're characters. I mean, the Outrunners are actually characters for real, man. And
ever since the real boys got fired, I assumed he's had like substitute boys, because he can just get any of the extras to be boys, or in this case, they take an actual tag team and make them the boys, which is kind of funny.
No, it is, and it works for them for some reason.
Right.
I actually do like the Outrunners. They're pretty underrated in terms of they're pretty versatile, man. I think, anyway, from what I've seen
Scab
with
boys.
them so
He
far.
says scab boys.
Well, yeah.
Scabs. They're still better than
scabs.
the actual. So anyway, they started beating up Dalton afterwards, but then Daniel Garcia ran in, and Fatty Magic ran in, and he's so
Fatty
fat.
Magic.
Yeah, he was so fat that when he tried to slide in the ring with the chair, like he kind of got held up a little bit, probably by his fat stomach. Like his fat stomach probably hit the apron and, gave a little hitch in his save. But he eventually got in the ring, and then,
dude. He was struggling running out with the chair.
He eventually pulled himself into the ring, struggling, and then got up with his chair, and So I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, as I see this match, and then I look at all the people involved, I'm like, oh wait a minute. Gates of Agony and Hechicero, Dalton Castle, Daddy Magic, and Daniel Garcia. Like, is this just is this going to make the pre-show for Forbidden Door longer now?
Exactly. And it's a whole bunch of like misfits in a way. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
hey, it's
like,
pro wrestling. There you go.
With like 80% of these guys already signed to AEW, it's going to be a Forbidden Door pre-show, man.
That's what I'm saying, dude. It feels like an AEW booked show more so. Like it's more of an AEW pay-per-view, but Is Daniel Garcia now the protector of Collision? Can we say that? He helps everybody now, dude.
Yeah, well, he's on Dynamite too. Like, you can't get away from this man. But at least he's not in the main events. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but now that you said that, next week, Collision for sure. We're going to have maybe these guys, a 6-man match of sorts, before it turns into a battle royale at Forbidden Door. The Forbidden Battle Royale.
Like less. So anyway, next up is Ad Astra and Top Action. And they're like in the middle of their promo. Lio Rush comes in and introduces himself. And they're kind of like, I don't know you, bro. And then he's like, all right. Yeah. It's like,
all right.
So the guy that I'm basically summarizing this in my acting ability for you guys. So, but basically that's what happened. And then, the weird thing about this was that Lio Rush took the fall in the earlier match, and now he's back here doing this, which is like,
Hechicero conjured him.
Yeah, he just conjured Lio Rush. Like, but it was a weird choice because you don't like usually when you see a guy get beat on a show, he's usually done. Like as far as that goes, especially one of these shows. But then he's just like, I don't know. It was weird. It seemed like you should have beat Rocky Romero in that match and then done this, because then it's like Lio Rush can always just be, well, they didn't beat me, you know. So
yeah, but it makes what happened earlier. Not that it matters. But if it did matter, makes everything that happened earlier irrelevant now. But what was the point?
Yeah. Candace Spaceman says, wow, you guys are making Collision sound interesting, and I kept falling asleep. Well, that's the greatest compliment we could ever be paid, Candace Spaceman.
Absolutely.
We are entertaining enough to make Collision sound interesting, because, damn it, let me just tell you, you were right to be falling asleep. But anyway, nonetheless, let's move along. Talk about not entertaining. So the patriarchy are in the ring, except for Christian. And Nick Wayne's mom, Shayna Wayne, Reverend Wayne, Shayna Wayne, is in the ring.
Right.
And she's talking, bro. And remember, I watched this show at 2x speed. So when she's talking, she sounded like slow. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm fast forwarding this. How slow is she talking in real time?
And she said
like,
the same old
you're
promo,
going to
dude.
boo a mother, like at that pace, but that was 2x speed.
Yeah, she was pretty slow. Now that I watch it on normal speed, and yeah, she was like, are you gonna boo a mother? You know what I mean?
I am now.
So yeah. Oh yeah. But no shit, for a minute, because I walked away and walked back in and heard that, I kid you not, for a moment, I thought it was an old Collision. Like an old... No kidding. I really did. I'm like...
More anniversary clips.
Yeah. No, but she said the exact promo like months ago. Like to a T. It was exactly the same. It's like even this segment, other than the Father's Day shit, I feel like I've seen all this before.
You have. Because it never really changes. So, actually, they did all... Like, Christian came out and he said a lot of stuff, and I'm going to condense it greatly, and I'm going to even leave some stuff out, but he actually said a lot of stuff, but basically the gist of it was he started with Nick Wayne saying that this is actually not just, he said a big anniversary, and it's not about Collision, but about the day your real dad died, and basically now, you know, like, I'm your father and I love you and all this other stuff. And then they do like a little gift exchange where Nick Wayne gives him like a homemade Father's Day card, like a big
like from like elementary school days. And
yeah,
shit.
like you would make this in your elementary school class with paste
or kindergarten,
construction paper. Yeah, and he reads this card and he's really moved by the card. And then Luchasaurus has a present for him. It's this like big painting, and it's like a portrait of Christian. And Christian, like he said, he did it himself. Like he asked him, "Did you do this?" And he's like, you know, nods, and then it's like, yeah, he's like, and he's like, yeah, it's not the greatest painting in the world, but it's much better than Nick Wayne's like first grade Father's Day card. And then of course Christian no sells it, says it's all right, but anyway, back to this card. And
he
then
shat on it.
Yeah,
he totally shat on it.
Yeah, puts over the card. the crowd's like, oh, anyway. But anyway, he takes a long, they milk this way too long just to say that his present for them is that they're going to go for the trios championship, and that this is now his company and he is Tony Khan's father now, is basically how he ends it.
That would be cool if they actually went into it, like went all in with it. That would have been absolutely hilarious, but they won't. And there'll be no more acknowledgement of that, unfortunately. But again, this was a mixture of old, it had elements of the, Nation of Domination, The Rock, giving presents, the portrait, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But again, I've seen all this before multiple times. What I would have done in this, though, instead of Nick Wayne doing that elementary school, card, handwritten card for Christian, I would have had Luchasaurus do a kitty painting of Christian. It was just blotches. Not as good as what we saw, on Collision. I'm talking about just a pure kitty picture of Christian. To me, that would have been hilarious. I would have popped to that, but they didn't do that. They had to make him more elegant and smart.
Right. That's their version of humor, where it's like the unexpected. The dinosaur draws a nice portrait, and Christian doesn't care about it. That's hilarious. So.
Oh, look! Come on, Aaron. I'm not saying he's boring, but he's doing the same old shtick.
This is the opposite of what Canada Spaceman said. Now he's saying we made Christian more boring. I thought we were supposed to be jazzing things like. Trust me, I'm making this very exciting compared to Christian. This was the worst. And to your point, Jimmy, it's like we have seen this. It's like this is very Memphis. You're just looking at it in the lens of big, expensive cable television, but this kind of shit should have been done in a studio in Memphis somewhere with Jerry Lawler and fucking Bill Dundee and
Bill Dundee,
Andy Kaufman
speaking
and
of
that. This is that. The only thing that was missing was somebody coming out of a box. That's the only thing that this didn't have. Or a cake.
Say that?
Cake for somebody to get their face put in it, right? This is so regional. This is so territory. This is so corny ass wrestling, but whatever. It's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that once in a while.
You can do that. Absolutely. And I think that's what they were aiming for. Knowing Christian the way I don't know him, but I'm assuming the way he think, I think it was very much that thought process with him, doing this shit. But still, it could have been, I thought there would have been they could have done better, in other words. You know what I mean? But they didn't. It is only Collision, I guess. I mean, shit.
It's only Collision. Who cares?
Great
attitude for everyone to have. Hey, well, speaking of which, we get a promo from Bullet Club Gold, but only one problem. The only guy worth a damn isn't there. So, enjoy Juice Robinson.
How is he not here, bro?
Well, the cardboard version was in there.
That was shocking. Again, I thought this was an old show for a moment. I'm like, Juice? What the hell? I'm glad he's back, though, dude.
Oh yeah, did you see that promo? I think that was on Dynamite that they did, where Juice Robinson got so hyped up he actually chopped Cardblade. I was like, don't hit Cardblade.
He did for real.
He chopped him in the chest. Like what? Don't do that.
You. And where was Jay White tonight, man? I mean, or last night.
Oh, he's been gone for a while.
What's he doing? Do you have any stories on him? Is there anything going on again? Guys, just
maybe he's on his farm in Florida with his thick wife.
Before, he's got a hot wife, dude. Actually, I mean, good on him. He's living the high life.
That's right. Well, yeah. Well, here's the opposite of the high life. It's Dante Martin versus Lee Moriarty. This is definitely a match worthy of celebrating 1 year of Collision. I'm not going to lie to you. I barely paid attention to this. A simple frog splash gets it done for Dante, and then he gets jumped by Shane Taylor Promotions until Top Action tries to save him, and then they get beat up. And then Leo Rush comes out, and he actually beats up everybody all by himself. The guy who lost earlier in the night. He's fine now, and, John Moxley really didn't kill him. He really didn't kill him, because he beat the shit out of Shane Taylor Promotions all by himself.
And you know what sucks again? I know Moriarty lost, right? Mm-hmm. But against Shane Taylor Promotions got another loss, bro. Another L. It is what it is. What do you do? They're all a bunch of losers at Shane Taylor Promotions. I mean, why would anybody want to join Shane Taylor Promotions? What can you possibly give that's going to, benefit you as a person that's wanting to join Shane Taylor Promotions? I mean, I'm disappointed, dude.
You can
I
do
know it's Moriarty,
jobs
but
to all the stars.
oh yeah, you want to become a loser? Join Shane Taylor. I mean, seriously, dude, they could have at least given Moriarty this win in a way, just for the sake of Shane Taylor Promotions, but no, they went for Dante.
They sure did.
He went flying, all right. He went flying.
Well,
I mean,
he's no longer the only guy to get his ankle broken in half in AEW. So,
anyway,
a simple frog splash.
simple frog splash. That's what I mean. This show is bizarre, dude.
Yes, but don't worry, because here's something a little more orthodox, a little more normal. Hikaru Shida is going to join the Owen Hart tournament.
Did I mention about wrestlers taking 4 months off and then coming back? Did I? I mean, this is another one.
Yeah. I mean,
you can't have this,
she's
man.
Back,
you
man.
can't keep to. She's back now, but for how long? I mean, again, I hate this. I just don't like it, man.
For the length of the Owen Hart tournament.
They all come out for Owen Hart, I guess, right? Game Wolfers with the comment of the night for me, but someone should call it Shane Taylor demotions. That's
probably everybody backstage.
That is actually that's a good one,
that,
Game. You've been on fire, man, lately.
Right. And that is that acronym would be STD, and that's something you definitely also don't want.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. Apparently Elizabeth cares. Oh no, she doesn't.
Oh. I almost thought, I was wondering there through most of her sentence if she was going to care, but turns out no.
Well, Zay Vichy says that he's heard that he's going to be an ornament.
What's that? Is that a nourishing tournament? Like just being in the tournament revitalizes you, and
it's nourishment.
I need some nourishment. I'm still starving after the show. All I've gotten is one cracker's worth of Hechicero.
Crackers, dude, with Vegemite on it.
Yeah, with Vegemite, which could be good or bad depending. But don't worry, because we get Kyle O'Reilly and he takes on Anthony Henry, which if you don't know him, he's the workhorseman that's in shape.
Yeah.
Yep, and we got Roderick Strong on commentary, and then they have this match, and Kyle O'Reilly gets a win. The only reason this match exists is so that he doesn't lose to another guy, and so he hits a suplex to armbar thing, and Anthony Henry taps out, and that's the end. No post-match business, which, again, there's too much post-match business, so I'm not asking for it, but that's it. Here we are. Roderick Strong's out there on commentary. That's enough of an angle for them.
That's all they do as an angle, week in, week out, actually, Vet.
Mm-hmm. That's it. All right. And we're finally on the main event. Looks like there's been enough talk. It's the Jayless Gang versus the House. Dark House. Right. So whatever about this match, because
God, I hated it, dude.
The main point is that supposedly Buddy hurt his knee, which he didn't, but yeah, he did not hurt his fucking knee. And I could tell immediately because he immediately starts selling the knee, which is the least believable thing that could have ever happened. So
and it was so like soft that spot, dude. Really, like at first I thought, oh shit, is he hurt? And when I saw the replay, and I'm like, he's not fucking hurt. And then we see why they did this spot a little later. But please continue.
Yeah. Well, the giveaway to me is like, granted, I suppose it's possible. I've never had to deal with this stuff, but your adrenaline is really high when you're in a match. I can attest to that. And you often don't feel anything until hours after. You know, like when you're at home.
That's normal, though.
Yeah, when you're at home and everything. Buddy Matthews does he does like a meteora off the top or whatever, which first of all, hey, that's Monday's move. You shouldn't be doing that, kid.
Yeah. It's
And then
Monday.
yeah, and he's got knee pads on. And he
He was
lands in the
protected
ring
to a T, bro.
right.
Yeah.
And he immediately, like upon hitting the mat, he immediately sells it in pain, and then he does the thing where he like slaps the mat like he's frustrated.
There's a giveaway right there.
I'm like 99.9% sure that if you injured your knee on a spot like that, you wouldn't realize it
You wouldn't
until
be
you tried to
doing
get
that.
back up.
Right.
Like you would try to stand up and then it would buckle on you because the moment of impact, you probably wouldn't feel it at first. At least not that quick. That was quick. Like he reacted quickly.
quick.
Like this is an angle quick. So that was my, yeah. A knee
Plus
jerk
the
reaction,
Meteora.
says Cold Blood.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that Meteora looks so like perfectly executed. There's no way, like, it's just ridiculous. But like Liz says, so his buddy hurt or is he leaving? No, I think they just did that literally for what happened in that match, dude. Where he got jumped so he can get the puck running. You know what I mean? That's all this shit was.
We'll get to that.
Sorry.
They basically, by the end of it, first of all, they make it awkward by dragging this thing out like it's real, and they have people checking on him, but they make sure they get the camera showing people checking on him and everything, like more
again
angle
the work.
alert. Right. And then they carry him out, and then the match keeps going on, but now it's like a 3-on-2 situation. So it's like the House of Black are just amazing baby faces right now. Like all of a sudden,
why though? Like why?
yeah,
Again,
they're just the
shit.
biggest baby faces ever. And then and they're now outnumbered and they have to make the comeback. And then Pac runs out and distracts like one of the guns. I forget which one. And
doesn't matter.
He's on the top, and then he gets in the ring, and then Malachi hits the black mass or whatever the fuck he calls it now.
Yeah.
Fade to black.
It's still the
or
black
something.
mass. Oh, is it? Oh yeah, fade to black. You're right. You're right. It is
Whatever
fade to black.
bullshit name he has. And then they win. They win the trios titles, right? So they brought Juice in just so that Jay White wouldn't be part of a losing effort. I guess so. That's good.
Hey, that's a possibility, dude. Don't count that out either, man. Hopefully Jay is playing sort of politics. You know what I mean? And if he is, good, as he should.
But
I would be at this point. Fuck.
Right. So now, for your anniversary celebration, you get House of Black wins the Trios Championship, of which you remember that the Patriarchy already said they're coming for those Trios Championships. And sure enough, after the match, up on the video screen, you see Christian, and he's got a buddy back there, and he's laid out. And then they put that Luchasaurus portrait on top of his prone body.
I'm gonna get a card blade possibly versus Christian portrait match, possibly.
Ooh.
Yeah. WrestleMania,
Like
book it right now. Yeah, no, this was lazy again. They had to do a buddy injury angle just to tie this little bow up, right? I mean, could you not have thought of something a little better? I mean, come on, guys. Jeez. And let's be honest, Vet, did they look like they cared? It looked like Alistair Black. Oh, sorry, Malachi Black. I call him Malaka Black because at this point, I mean,
Tommy Black.
Anyway, yeah. Honestly, he looked like he didn't care in this match, dude. He was just going with the motions. Maybe I was reading too much into it, but he wasn't in the mood, dude.
Wait, Liz says they're top contenders. They didn't win. Okay, great.
Oh, they didn't win?
Couldn't even switch the belts. Great.
To be fair, I didn't see him parading the belts either, though.
Well, that video came up on the screen so fast, I just assumed.
Right. Well, I assume too, but now that I think about it, everyone wants to know Malaka or Malka. No, Malaka. I don't know what Malka is, but for anyone that doesn't know what Malaka means, it means jerk off in Greek. There you go.
Well,
if you're going to call yourself Malachi Black, I mean, come on, you're asking to be called Malaka Black. I mean, let's be real now.
I guess nobody knows that word except for you.
You'd be surprised, actually, man. You'd be surprised. You never heard of Malacca before?
Just from you, Jimmy. Just from you.
Wow. Wow. You don't know many Greeks?
I dated a Greek woman. I still never heard.
Oh, biggest mistake of your life. Greek women are hard, bro.
In many ways.
Greek women are fucked up.
We're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about collision.
You saying that.
Give them a grade, which I already gave. I gave them an F. You effed up F. F.
Well,
even Hechicero couldn't even bring it to a D- only because his screen time was so limited. If he had gotten maybe 5 more minutes, he could have pulled a D- out. But just know,
D-.
Yeah, just know that the only hope you ever had was Hechicero and maybe a tiny bit of Leo Rush. But then the Leo Rush that you had, you did weird booking and made me not like it. So
3 times on the show. I mean, come on. The guy lost
on 3 times, but you poisoned it. You know, you poisoned him.
Yeah, this is if there's a term, you know, I used to say bipolar booking. This is the exact definition of it, dude. All over the place, completely all over the place. Like, just, I give it a straight up F too. I mean,
even if you just look at Leo Rush, it's do the job, but then come back and make the save for a completely unrelated group of people. What?
Dude, I've been throwing a lot of D's. Even on SmackDown, I gave it a D. I thought it was poor, like extremely poor for a go-home show. Mm-hmm. But this shit right here, nah. It's a straight F. Straight F, and it's a shame. I haven't gone past D for the last few weeks, as a matter of fact, man. So, for any wrestling show at this point, except I haven't been talking about Raw, and but even Raw hasn't been as crash, you know, per se. I don't know. Right now, wow, cold-blooded B for you, B-. Interesting.
Hey, you know.
Hey, if you enjoyed it, absolutely. I mean,
that's great. Imagine if they put on a real show that you'll be over the moon.
Absolutely. I mean, shit. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised, man. And Aaron says even the vets a la carte did not save the show. There was no a la carte for vet really, except for a little cracker. That's about it.
Right. It was like a saltine cracker of Hechicero and then a glass of water of Leo Rush that they spit in.
Oh, that's harsh. I hate it.
Not even a lemon slice. They just spit straight in the water, like in front of me, basically.
Yeah, like it was even a little greeny spat in there too. Yeah, if you know what I mean.
There was like a food particle, like they just ate the cracker
from the.
So beard. I was actually going to get more crackers for Hechicero, but they ate some on the way, like a one of those like food delivery people, like Uber Eats driver that's stealing your French fries or something. Yeah, it's like they took they ate my saltine on the way to the table, then they spit in my water. Ugh. It was terrible. It was terrible. Now last week was like you had a really fancy, nice restaurant, and then they served you like White Castle or whatever, and then this week was like they served you White Castle and you're eating it in a White Castle. It was just terrible. And I like White Castle, to be fair, but it's okay to like trash things sometimes on purpose. It's just, but I'm just trying to think of a food that's like people consider to be low quality. You know, like that's what I'm trying.
You can get lower than White Castle. You can get lower,
and then like they're like when you go in the restaurant, like the professor was talking about the health code grades and stuff that they're getting, and like the White Castles always just barely pass like the minimum required, like, and they're so understaffed that the roaches have to bring you the food.
Dang, like, that's TNA. They'll bring in the food to WWE.
Yeah, that's it.
The roaches, you know what I mean?
That's basically it.
Oh man, yeah, it was straight F for me too. But Cold, I'm surprised you give it a B-. But again, it's not for everybody. Some people would love this show. I guarantee you, I'll go on Twitter and people will be, oh my God, it was the best thing since sliced bread. You'll be confused because other people even say the storytelling was epic, vet.
Those are all the bots.
Bots.
Yeah, they're the bots that are saying
epic storytelling.
Epic. It's so epic. Like, I never usually see the guy that gets fucking laid out. When John Moxley DDT'd Lio Rush, he was laying in the ring like a snow angel. Like he was like spread out like a chalk line. Like he was out, bro. Like this, they need a spatula to get him off the canvas, and then he comes back later and like cleans house on the entire Shane Taylor Promotions by himself. Like
all 4 foot something of him.
I guess that is epic. I surely don't see stuff like that every day.
You know, if they think so highly of Lio Rush, didn't they did sign him initially, right? Then he retired, if memory serves me right. They did sign him, I'm pretty sure.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, clearly they still think highly of him, but whether they trust to sign him is another question. But it looks like they really want him still, dude. If that's the case, pay him enough money to where he's not going to retire. I don't know. Like, if you really want him.
Is he really signed with New Japan? And then he's just getting
brought in
because of their deal?
Is he really signed to New Japan? I believe he's not, though. I thought he was just freelancing, really.
Well, he was working there for a period of time. Several
tours. He actually has been now, yeah.
He also did, what was I going to say? I mean, he did officially join Chaos, I guess. So, like, he's part of them, even if he's not exclusively signed to them. So, like, that could be just another case of them bring in a New Japan guy, technically, that they wanted, but now they don't have to pay him the contract. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Point is, whatever they brought him in, or whoever owns, you know, like Lio Rush's contract or whatever, like, the point is, this is not the good use of him. No. One of these things shouldn't happen. Either he doesn't do the job or he doesn't clean house. Either way.
Yeah, well, right, you can't have it both ways, but instead we did get it both ways, and that's AEW. So in saying that, Vet, should we take it home, dude? Should we call it quits right here, right now?
Yeah, let's call it quits. After 1 year, let's end
the
wreckage forever.
Happy anniversary to us, and a happy anniversary to the collision. Clearly, you hit a brick wall this past Saturday, but Vet, you know what? In saying that, man, tell them where they can find you, and what are you up to tonight, man?
Oh, you know, this and that. At Opinion Haver on all your favorite social media platforms, and any other platforms, you can find me at Opinion Haver. If you want to talk about wrestling some more, if you want to see the old NXT TNA crossovers, there's 2 places you could do it. Number one, for TNA, you could see me and Brandon on Impact Attack every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, smack dab in the middle of Raw. You can hear us talk about TNA there. If you want to hear me talk about NXT, that's every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern with Big Ray Hernandez. And then we'll cover all of the goings on there. And then if you want to check out Wrestling with Rib Rogers, that's every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern Concrete. Except for this coming week, it won't be there because there's other things. Von Lilas earned himself a vacation because he's got an anniversary of his own. So he's taking off that week. But every other week besides that, you can catch them around that time and ask Rip a question. And, of course, Stevie Richards on all of his endeavors. He's going through some reshuffling right now and changing some things up and retooling some stuff. But he's easy enough to find. So if you want to support him during this time, then you could find any of the multiple Stevie Richards accounts and keep up with him there. But that's everything for me, Jimmy.
Oh, well, that's perfect. Just before I give my socials, which has disappeared on my screen for some reason also. Cold Blood says, great show. Everyone's praising us, Vet. Apparently it was even better than Collision. It's better, well, yeah, praise us. Absolutely praise us. Labrat says, got to enjoy Vet's review over the Hardy House segment this week. And Gam Wolf is also preview. And Gam Wolf says, big yeets to this show. No yeet to AEW. And Labrat also says, great show, guys. Thank you all for joining us. But if you want to follow me on the X, you can at DJ MassFX, also at the PWC Network. But like and subscribe right here at channelattitude.com with $5. Not only do you get the realest, but also the best talk in all of pro wrestling. Also, HaminMediagroup.podbean.com for our affiliate shows. and also at the pwcnetwork.podbean.com for other shows. And that's a wrap, Vet. So in saying that, I am Jimmy T. That is the Vet Jamie Williams. And you've been listening and watching the HMG Saturday Night Wreckage right here on channelattitude.com via Hamid Media Group. And we're out. Peace and happy Father's Day to everyone celebrating.